let's take a moment to breathe. I mean it, take a deep breath right now. Life can feel like such a whirlwind sometimes, can it? So many things are pulling at us from every direction. So many expectations, so many worries. And yet, here in Philippians 4, Paul writes something so simple and so profound. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice. Now, maybe you're hearing that and thinking, always? Rejoice always? Does Paul know what my week has been like? And you wouldn't be wrong to wonder. Life isn't easy. There are real struggles, heartbreaks, disappointments, those moments when you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But here's the thing about Paul. When he wrote this, he wasn't lounging on a beach somewhere. He was in prison. He was in the middle of his own storm. And yet, his words are full of this unshakable joy. How? Paul gives us the answer in these verses. He's not talking about some shallow happiness that depends on everything going right. He's talking about a joy that comes from knowing Jesus, really knowing him. The kind of joy that isn't tied to circumstances, but to the unchanging truth of who God is. And who is God? He's the Word. He's the one who became flesh, not to stand at a distance, but to come close, to live among us, walk with us, and show us the depth of his love. Do not be anxious about anything, Paul continues, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Anxiety. It's a heavy word, isn't it? And if we're honest, it's something we all feel at times. But here, Paul isn't saying, don't worry, just ignore your problems. He's inviting us to bring them to Jesus, to lay them at his feet. That peace, it's not something you can find in the world. It's not about having everything figured out or having a perfect life. It's about knowing that you're not alone, that Jesus is with you, holding you, guiding you, and giving you strength when you feel like you have none left. Paul goes on to say, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. It's like he's saying, hey, shift your focus. Don't let your mind get stuck in the spiral of what's wrong or what's scary. Instead, fill your thoughts with what's good, what's hopeful, what reminds you of God's faithfulness. And let's be real, that's easier said than done. When life feels overwhelming, our minds naturally gravitate toward worry and fear. But this isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about choosing to see the bigger picture. It's about remembering that the God who spoke the stars into existence also speaks into your life, into your heart. Then we get to one of the most well-known verses in the Bible. Paul writes, I can do all this through him who gives me strength. You've probably heard that verse before, maybe even seen it on a poster or a coffee mug. And it's beautiful, isn't it? But it's not about being a superhero or accomplishing every dream. It's about something deeper. It's about dependence, about knowing that whatever you're facing, whether it's a season of plenty or a season of need, Jesus is your strength. Not just when you feel strong, but especially when you feel weak. Because that's who he is. He's the Word made flesh, the God who came close. He doesn't just give you strength. He is your strength. And that strength isn't just for the big, dramatic moments of life. It's for the everyday struggles, the mornings when you don't want to get out of bed, the conversations you're dreading, the quiet moments when the doubts creep in. Jesus is there in all of it. His grace is enough for all of it. So let me ask you, where do you need his strength today? What's weighing on your heart? Maybe it's a situation that feels impossible. Maybe it's a decision you don't know how to make. Or maybe it's just the day-to-day grind that's left you feeling exhausted. Whatever it is, Jesus invites you to bring it to him, to trust that his strength will carry you through. And here's the beauty of it. When we lean on him, when we let his light shine into the dark corners of our lives, we begin to see things differently. We begin to experience that peace Paul talks about, the kind that doesn't make sense, but fills us anyway. So, where do we go from here? Maybe it's as simple as taking a moment right now to pray, to say, Jesus, I need you. I can't do this on my own. Help me to trust you. Help me to feel your peace, even in the middle of this storm. Or maybe it's taking Paul's advice and shifting your focus, writing down a few things you're thankful for, spending a few minutes meditating on what's true, what's lovely, what's good. And if you're not sure where to start, that's okay too. Jesus meets us where we are. He's not looking for perfect prayers or perfect faith. He's looking for hearts that are open to him. As we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this thought. Jesus' light, his strength, his grace, they're not just abstract ideas. They're for you, right now, in this moment. And if this message has stirred something in you, I'd love to hear about it. What stood out to you? What's something you're taking away from Philippians 4? Drop a comment below. I'd love to keep the conversation going. Remember, you're not alone. Jesus is with you, and his grace is enough. Always.